Welcome to Future Ready Live, where we talk about topics that will help CPAs, CGMAs, and their organizations adapt and thrive in a fast-changing world. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of association being even more relevant in a global world, and why belonging to a professional association, volunteering for your profession, can help elevate and accelerate your career. Joining me is Anoop Mehta. Anoop is the current chairman of the AICPA CIMA. He's a chief strategist at Analytical Mechanics Associates, Inc., AMA, and has a long history of volunteering at the AICPA and MACPA, Maryland Association of CPAs, where he was past chair and a friend of mine for 20 years. As long as I've known him, he's been a volunteer in this profession. Have you heard the phrase, "I'm no rocket scientist"? Well, Anoop has been the CFO, CEO, and now the chief strategist with a whole bunch of rocket scientists at AMA and his entire career. Anoop, say hello to everybody.
Hey, hello, everyone, and hello, Tom. It's truly exciting to be here with you. As you said, we've been friends for over 20 years, and I really, truly have cherished our friendship. Plus, from my end, how often do you get a chance to chat with the second most influential person in the accounting profession? So I am delighted to be here.
Well, it's an honor, Anoop, as you know. All right, you're a CPA and a CGMA, as am I, and you were CFO, then CEO of a major government contractor, and now you're the chief strategist for an even bigger one. Tell us about your journey and how being a CPA and CGMA might have helped your career.
Tom, I think my journey into this profession, and actually even during the profession, can best be described as unconventional. That I started in a private industry and always been in the private industry. When I started while I was still in school, and started my career with a company that was two-person. And I started off as interning there over the summer. Now, over the years, I rose through the ranks, becoming staff accountant, finance managers, to controller, CFO, and then actually becoming president and CEO in 2015. So during that time, as president, the company grew actually. So when I became president and CEO in 2015, the company was around 600 employees. So during my tenure, which is about 6 years, we grew that company from 600 to about 1,000 employees. And our revenues grew from just under 100 million to a little over 260 million. I did resign in 2021. It was kind of in the middle of the pandemic. But shortly after that, I joined a company called Analytical Mechanics Associates, or AMA. They're based out of Hampton, Virginia. Again, similar work, NASA, NOAA, some of the other agencies. And there I'm now their chief strategist. And I'm excited to say that, back just about a couple of weeks ago, it was announced that we had been awarded, NASA awarded us a 8-year, $1.5 billion contract. That's probably one of the largest small business contracts ever awarded. So really, really excited about that.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you
That's
very
incredible. I knew that was happening, so it is good to hear that. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, as far as my career goes, and I think it wasn't easy. I sat for the exam quite a few times, and actually in the middle, I kind of gave it up, and then I decided I needed to go back and sit for the exam. And of course, when I sat for the exam, I was a little bit older the second time around. And I tell the students that that's not the way you want to do it. Okay. If you're going to do this exam, you got to do it right after, as soon as you're eligible to do it. And of course, I had a family also by then. But I can tell you, it was after passing the CPA exam that my career just launched. And then, of course, getting the CGMA designation, And I think the CGMA designation helped fill the gap, meaning the skill sets that I needed to become CFO, CEO, kind of the leadership position. So those are the skill sets that I gained with the CGMA designation. Now, when I got my CPA, in the community, I think with that CPA, I built trust, confidence with my colleagues, my clients. It certainly opened up a lot of resources for me, and that I didn't know existed. And with the CPA designation, they allowed me to have access to all of those things. Now, if I look at the market today, employers are demanding those essential competencies, those success skills, and those are reflected in the CGMA designation. So if you're going through this program, by going through this program, I think it will fill the critical needs for people like us who are in the finance and roles, and they're really useful in filling those critical needs that the employers are looking for. Things like business skills, people skills, strategic and critical thinking, leadership skills, digital skills. I think all of these things are essential, and these are the things that are available through the CGMA competency framework. And Tom, I will tell you that I don't think I could have had the career I've had without first getting my CPA and then learning the other skill sets that are in the CGMA competency model. And I would say this propelled my career and helped me get into those leadership positions. And I can tell you, as I'm going around the country, and you know that I've been traveling a lot, I've been talking to a lot of students. I'm kind of promoting the AND principle: do your CPA and then get you do your CGMA.
Yeah, yeah, and we're doing some programs in colleges now where they could be doing it while they're in school and
Yeah.
getting some of that before they even sit for the CPA, and then they can go back and finish it up. But you're being also modest because you not only have been all over the U.S., you've been all over the world.
Yeah.
And I know there was one particular thing that really meant a lot to you, given your history and your dad. Tell us about that trip to India and what that meant and what happened over there.
Yeah, well, yes, you can say that I've been traveling a bit. I think I've been on the road probably on the average of 5, 6 days a week. As tiring as travel can be, I'm telling you, I am enjoying my visits to various states, various campuses, talking to students via Zoom, and even staying connected with students that I've met during my visit. By the way, I'm very proud of this. I give out my personal cell phone number and my email to all the students. I say you can reach out to me anytime. I'll be able to help you in any way I can. I, I think the thing that I tell about our profession is that there are endless possibilities, and you're going to continue to advance your career as your interests change. I think this is another great point that we need to continue to promote. I'm hearing this especially from young professors that they are yearning for mentors and support. Now, I know you mentioned India trip, the Mysore trip. I was there in mid-February. I went there to attend, actually, I went to India to attend two weddings. These are my nephew's weddings. But sandwiched between those weddings, I got invited to give a lecture to an organization called JSS Spiritual Mission. Um, Now, I got connected with His Holiness while his was visiting the U.S. in August. A good friend of mine, very active in that community, he introduced me to His Holiness, and I met him, and he told me next time I'm in India, he wants me to come there. So I got this invitation to speak at this lecture series, and this is what they call their Golden Jubilee lecture series, and this started back in 2004, and they've had those prominent speakers come and give a lecture on various topics. I'll admit, I didn't realize the importance of this until I was told who the previous 12 lecturers were. Now, I was the 13th lecturer in the series. So again, this started in 2004. So every so often they invite prominent folks to give these lectures. So the folks that were before me. This is people like Dr. Abdul Kalam. He's former president of India. There's Dr. Sudha Murthy. He was chairman of the Infosys, which is one of the largest software companies in India. He's the chairman of the foundation there. There was Dr. Kiran Kumar. He's the chairman of the Indian Space and Research Organization, kind of like the NASA of the U.S. And things like that. When I got this invitation and I saw the list, I was just blown away. I said, "Wow, why me?" But it was fantastic. So the title of my lecture, and I know India is going through ESG, and that is there's a huge a movement to that. So the title of my lecture was "Tomorrow's India Begins Today," and leveraging accountability for ESG. So I had about close to 600 people in the audience, and it went it went great, and I wouldn't have expected the kind of reception that I got, but it was wonderful. But one of the things, as part of that visit, I also visited a school. It's called JSS Sabarmat School, and so this school houses around 4,000 students from ages 6 to 16. Now, many of these students are orphans, and all of them come from underprivileged communities throughout India. Now, this school provides free education, free room and board, clothing, food, everything the student would need. And I got a chance to speak to nearly 3,000 of these students at one time. They were all sitting on the ground when I arrived, and it was I was just overwhelmed. This visit, I would say, had the most profound impact on my entire life. And I'm choking up just talking about it. To see these kids, I can tell you, they were very intelligent. They had some really interesting, tough questions. And the way I looked at it, to see that if these kids are just given the opportunity, what these kids can accomplish. And then this is not just in India. This could be applied to anywhere in the world. Like I said, I've traveled a lot and visited many places in the world. I can say nothing has touched me as much as these kids and visiting this school. So very, very excited that I got an opportunity to do that.
That's incredible, Anoop. And to that point, what you're running around doing, right? There's a whole lot of people that might be in that underprivileged category, maybe not to that degree, but to those young children over in India, there's this whole notion, right, that you can't be it unless you can see it.
Yeah.
And you were visible and showing them how, and you were an immigrant family, correct, from India?
Yes.
Right. So you did it. It came to the United States and made that to one of the top position in the whole profession. And you were able to share that vision with those folks.
Yeah. It was, like I said, heartwarming. And this trip actually to this center, to this JSS mission, I was fortunate. I was able to take my mom with me, so she could see what I do, and I know she was touched, and I know she was overwhelmed.
Well, I mean, I've been there at your inauguration in Maryland. I've been there at your inauguration at the AICPA, and everyone's crying because you just have such an incredible story, Anoop, from that perspective. I mean, just been unbelievable. All right, let's see. I knew this would just fly by. We got a lot more to talk about. Let's see if we can kind of get going on this. Talk a little bit about, well, since you've been here, we've got a couple things approved at the board level for what we're doing in the Americas with the CGMA. And you were at our Future Finance Summit. Talk a little bit about what you're seeing us do, and this is in that CGMA category, but talk a little about that. Then we're going to shift to the Evolution project.
Yeah, as challenging as the last few years have been, one thing that we're very proud, one thing we're doing is continuing to grow the CGMA qualifications here in the U.S. and actually globally. And we're really attracting top talent and diverse talent from these key markets that we're targeting. Um, so what we're doing is we're continually evolving the CGMA curriculum and really to meet the market needs. However it's evolving, we're revising our curriculum to do that. And we're creating flexibility for individuals to be able to obtain their CGMA designation. Now, in the U.S., and unfortunately, you remember many of these, this is including me, many of those CPAs back then who elected to become CGMAs when the AICPA merger happened, have since let their credentials lapse. So trying to grow that in the US has gotten a little bit of difficulty. But I will tell you, I'm so glad that I did not give up that designation. Okay, it helped me so much later on in my career. So again, like I said, by these individuals giving up their credentials, it did make us the momentum of the CGMA in the U.S. a little bit more good. But thanks to you, I could tell you things are coming back, and really, really excited. Claw those professionals back and really re-engage them in meaningful new ways. And one such way is that U.S. Registered Apprenticeship Program. Through this, we're really amplifying our support for management accounting in the U.S., and we're really recruiting new CGMA candidates. Registered Apprenticeship Program, we registered this through the U.S. Department of Labor, and then we started to work with states. And in fact, I'm so proud that Maryland was one of the first that. So we worked with the Maryland Department of Labor, and they gave us approval to use the AICPA to create this registered apprenticeship program for finance business partners. And we used this, we did this by utilizing the AICPA's financial leadership program that was already created. So it was wonderful to do that. So now, really, as the needs for more skilled accounting and finance professionals become more pressing because the demand is growing, and the battle for that talent is becoming even more competitive. So we're hoping this registered apprenticeship program it becomes a critical step towards growing that pipeline.
Yeah.
Here's how. If you want, I can talk a little bit how it works. The apprentices, they get accepted into the program. They're hired by employers. They study the CGMA Finance Leadership Program while working and receiving on-job training from their employer, and also the support. That's the key. They're getting that support from the employer.
Yeah.
And they're also providing a little bit of the mentoring.
Yeah.
So the apprentices are identified by their employer. They're doing the career development and receiving real world, I'd say, competency-based training. So once they complete this, the CGMA Finance Leadership Program, and they pass this mandatory case study exam and meeting the experience requirement, they earn their CGMA designation. And when they do that, they have real world job experience, and hopefully that strengthens their pathway for future growth. So I'm really excited about that. And part of this also, some of the curriculum, some of the competencies is coming through these partners that the future of finance. We've attracted top CFOs from Fortune 500 companies, and we're getting them together to talk about the future of finance, what the finance professional future will look like, and bringing those skill sets and understanding those skill sets and bringing into this program, I think will help the finance professionals of the future.
Yeah, and don't forget that in addition to the CGMA credential, global credential, you get a U.S. Department of Labor certificate as a finance business partner. That was kind of another neat thing about that. But let's talk a little bit about CPA Evolution, because that's the future of the CPA, which is where you started, right? And so did I.
Right. Well, thanks. Thanks for bringing that up. What we're doing is focusing on what matters most. Okay. The CPA Evolution initiatives really is transforming the CPA licensure model, and it's recognizing the rapidly changing skill sets and competencies that are required today and actually required for the future. Now, this effort is a joint effort by NASBA, which is the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy, and AICPA. The new model, the new exam, it has a core plus discipline model for obtaining the CPA licensure. Now, first they start with the core, which is the strength of our profession, right? Having accounting, auditing, tax, technology, that all candidates will be required to complete. Now, once they do that, each candidate then will choose a discipline in which to demonstrate kind of like a deeper skill, deep dive into it, and having
Mhm.
a deeper knowledge into those subject areas. The discipline reflects really, if you look at it, the three pillars of our profession, right? Business analysis and reporting, information systems and controls, and tax compliance and planning. So the candidate will select one of those. Now, good thing is, regardless of the chosen discipline, any one of those three pillars, this model that we created leads to a full CPA licensure, with the rights and privileges consistent with any other CPA. The discipline that they select for testing will not necessarily mean that CPA is limited to that practice area. They can move into it. I know one of the things for us is, if in order for you to do taxes, you should be proficient and you should get through your competency, build that competency. So that's will always be there, right? But CPA is a CPA is a CPA. So this new version of the CPA exam will be launched in January 2024, and we're ready to do that. Um, Interestingly, as I'm going around the country and talking to the students, they already know about this, the new exam, and they're already preparing in that format. So
Wow.
that's great. I'm so excited that they're embracing it.
That's too cool. All right. I want to wrap up with the final thing that we started with. Why should someone belong to the AICPA CIMA? What's that meant for you in your whole journey and your career, and why should others do it?
I think, the biggest thing is the association with the largest and most influential body representing accounting and finance professionals around the world. We have about 700,000 members in 196 countries. So to protect our licensure, to protect our profession, we need an organization that will be a huge advocate for us. And let me tell you, when we show up in front of, let's say, in U.S. Treasury, IRS, knowing that we have 700,000 members, they listen to us, right?
The difference.
So I think that, and then the resources that are available through the association, and like I said, that helped me build my career from an intern to becoming president CEO of an organization. So absolutely, I would urge everyone to get involved and become a member.
Yeah, I mean, I remember way back. I have a very similar career, Anoop. I never went into public accounting. I was at night school, started working during the day, and worked my way up like you did. And I'll never forget that I was like a staff accountant in an architectural company, and the CFO sat me down when I passed the exam, and he goes, "Sit here and write a check out to the Maryland Association of CPAs and the AICPA, American Institute of CPAs, because I want to take you to the first meeting, because that network will be invaluable in your career." And I can't tell you how that's true. I get to meet and hang out with guys like you, and you're the same thing, right? We're a product of our profession, and being an active member is a great way to do that.
Yeah, yeah. And I tell you, I am going around, as I'm going around the country and talking to students and visiting campus, I tell them the importance of getting involved in their state societies and also the AICPA. I think that is a important part of that journey, getting involved.
Yeah. So Anoop, I knew this was going to be a ball. Thank you so much for spending time with us. And for everyone out there, I want you to follow Anoop. He'll connect to you right away. LinkedIn, it's Anoop Mehta, ANOOP MEHTA. And Twitter, I don't know if you're still active on your Twitter account, but
Not as much,
you
not
got
as
your
much.
game going
LinkedIn,
there.
yes.
It's at Anoop Mehta #7. So ANOOPMEHTA, all one word with a 7, no space. If you want to try to, if you tweet at him, he might tweet back. Anyhow,
Yeah.
thanks everyone for joining us, and don't miss our other Future Ready Live sessions right back here on LinkedIn the first and third Tuesday of each month at noon Eastern, and we'll see you then. Anoop, thank you again.
Thank you, my friend. We'll see you shortly.
You got it.
Bye-bye.